It's one of the most hotly contested local races in next week's primary.
And the contest for Wake County DA is really heating up because the state's longest-standing DA is stepping down. Colin Willoughby enjoyed bipartisan support and was highly respected for nearly 30 years. And now, as Amanda Lamb reports, 6 candidates are vying for a chance to fill his shoes.
This is the end of...
When DA Colin Willoughby announced in January he was stepping down after nearly 3 decades, Wake County's first highly contested race for the seat fired up. The Republican field is crowded. 4 are running. 51-year-old Jeff Cruden is a senior assistant district attorney with more than 20 years prosecuting cases, which include drunk driving deaths and sex crimes. Also on the Republican ticket, 33-year-old Jefferson Griffin, an assistant district attorney since 2010 who considers prosecuting domestic violence cases a priority. 2 defense attorneys round out the Republican ballot, 45-year-old Terry Swaim of Wendell, who has a background in business, and 60-year-old John Bryant, who has practiced law in Raleigh since 1988. 2 candidates are running in the Democratic primary. 32-year-old Assistant District Attorney Boz Zellinger is part of the Special Victims Unit and has prosecuted several high-profile murder cases in his 7 years as an ADA. 43-year-old Lauren Freeman is Zellinger's opponent. A former prosecutor, she has been Wake County's elected clerk of court since 2006, and in that role manages a staff of 160 employees.
The North Carolina primary just 6 days away. Many of you have already voted, others still making up your mind.
2 local congressional seats are highly contested, and tonight we take a look at the 2nd District, which winds its way from Alamance County through Harnett and a part of Moore, and it ends in Cumberland County. David Crabtree is here to break down this race. David?
Jackie, the 2nd was redrawn to favor Republicans, and the Republican incumbent has a serious challenger. Also, there's a spirited race for the Democratic nomination, but they believe they have a legitimate shot at reclaiming the district.
These proposals are among the dozens of House-passed jobs bills.
Renee Elmers is the incumbent, serving her 2nd term after defeating longtime Democrat Bob Etheridge in a very close race 4 years ago. Elmers has consistently voted for the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, a popular stand in the district. Yet her more moderate position on immigration has fueled a challenge by businessman and radio talk show host Frank Roche, who also wants a repeal of the Health Care Act and takes a hard line on immigration. The first time Clay Aiken wanted to vote was years ago on American Idol. After a successful singing career, the Democrat wants to move to Washington. The former special education teacher is pushing for immigration reform, job creation, and pledges to work with both Democrats and Republicans. Also in the race is Tony Morris of Fayetteville. The licensed professional counselor is pushing job growth, higher pay in existing jobs, and better military benefits. And the 3rd Democrat in the race, former North Carolina Secretary of Commerce Keith Crisco, who touts his public service as a way to, quote, end on-the-job training for our members of Congress.
Now tomorrow we'll take a look at the 7th, where incumbent Democrat Mike McIntyre is retiring after 14 years in the House. Early voting ends Saturday, May 3rd. The primary, as Gerald said, is next Tuesday.
Tonight we take a look at the 7th District. It's a district that will have a new representative come January. It stretches from Wake County through Johnston County all the way to the coast. David Crabtree is here right now to break down who's running for this open seat.
Jackie, there will be a new representative from the 7th because Democrat Mike McIntyre, who has served the past 14 years, opted not to seek re-election.
For the Republicans, David Rouser is running again. The former state senator from Johnston County lost to McIntyre 2 years ago by less than 700 votes out of more than 337,000 cast. Rouser has the support of many of the GOP establishment players, including House Majority Leader Eric Cantor. He is challenged by Wilmington attorney Woody White, a new Hanover County commissioner. White has the endorsement of former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. White has accused Rouser of being soft on immigration issues, something Rouser strongly denies. Chris Andrade is the 3rd Republican in the primary for the 7th nomination. The 30-year military veteran believes his experience would help better shape decision-making in the Congress. 2 Democrats are running for their party's nomination. Walter Martin of Princeton is a retired law enforcement officer with 24 years' experience and currently works as a private investigator. His opponent is Jonathan Barfield, a Wilmington realtor who also serves as the New Hanover County Commissioner.
And we'll be talking with those two Democrats this weekend on the record. Early voting ends Saturday. The primary is Tuesday, May 6th. Complete election coverage on WRAL TV and .com, where a comprehensive voting guide is posted. Good evening, I'm David Crabtree, and for the next half hour, we are going to hear from the four leading Republican candidates who want the chance to challenge Democrat incumbent U.S. Senator Kay Hagan in November. We're going to focus on a number of issues, including immigration, the Affordable Care Act, and campaign financing, just to name a few. I want to talk about immigration tonight because I understand each of you say you favor tougher and greater border security, and you do not favor amnesty. There are estimates there are close to 12 million people living, many working in this country illegally. How would you vote to specifically deal with those millions of people who are currently here illegally tonight? Ms. Grant.
I've been very, very clear on this issue every time I've spoken about it. For me, the people who have crossed into this country without due process have committed a criminal act. They are criminals. We should not reward them in any way, shape, form, or fashion. We need to take away the entitlements
Does that mean
that they
you would
are
deport them?
Yes, if they're caught, we deport them.
And then who pays for that deportation? I mean,
Who's
we're talking 12 million people.
David, who's paying for them now? We're paying for their health care, we're paying for their HUD housing.
All of you want to increase the size of government and government spending. So you talk about deporting 12 million people. That's a huge cost to this country.
It is, but they're also their SNAP. The advertising for SNAP in Mexico is a huge cost to us. Their HUD housing is a huge cost to us. Their Medicaid is a huge cost to us. Stop funding them there and take that money and fund it to take the ones that we find and send them back home. They can have the opportunity to come back legally. I have absolutely no problem with that. But they have broken our sovereign borders, and that is a criminal act.
And this half hour has gone by in warp speed. That's all the time we have. We would like to thank the candidates for joining us. Election day is May 6th. Of course, you can vote. Early voting begins tomorrow. It runs through May 3rd at 1 that afternoon. Call your County Board of Elections to learn the locations and early voting hours in your county. And a reminder that under the new election laws, if you've not already registered, you cannot vote in the May primary. You can register now to vote in the general election in November. We thank you for joining us, and if one of these four win on May 6th or in a runoff, we hope you'll come back for a general election debate. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm David Crabtree, and for the next half hour, we are going to hear from four Republican candidates who want the opportunity to challenge Democrat incumbent U.S. Senator Kay Hagan in November. We're going to focus on a number of issues this evening, including immigration, the Affordable Care Act, and campaign financing. And we're going to start with the Affordable Care Act. There's no secret that most Republicans who are seeking office, and I think those of you here would like to see either a change or a repeal of the Affordable Care Act. With that in mind, what specifically would you put in its place to offer the millions of people with insurance tonight who did not previously have it, or people with pre-existing conditions who now have coverage?
Well, first of all, I absolutely would vote to repeal it because I think the Affordable Health Care Act is nothing to do with either affordability or health care.
And we thank you for joining us this evening. That's our time. We would like to thank these candidates for being here tonight. Election day is May 6th, but you can vote now. Early voting for the May primary began on Thursday, April 24th. It will run through May 3rd at 1 o'clock that afternoon. Call your County Board of Elections to learn the locations and hours. Early voting is available in your county. And a reminder, under the new election laws, if you are not already registered, you can no longer vote in the May primary. You can register now to vote in the general election in November. Again, we thank you for watching, and whatever you do, please exercise your precious right to vote.